Welcome back to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. And speaking of welcoming back, you're returning to tomorrow. Yeah, that's the episode we're here for. You've checked it out. Now you're going to see what we think about it. Something else check out? Speaking of returning to tomorrow or the future, Mary Ann's Macabre Movie Review. Yeah, it's one of our newer shows. It's one of our newer podcasts. If you haven't listened to it yet, there's a good chunk to go listen to right now. If you're into horror movies, check it out. If you're not into horror movies, she might get you into horror movies, and she's digging deep. It's not just your basic horror movies. It's the big ones, the little ones, the foreign ones. She's all over the place. If you love horror movies, check out Mary Ann. Also, check out one of our long-running shows, The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky. Nick Argan and Company. I don't know what's out right now. It's March. Black Panther. I bet they're talking about Black Panther by now. Go check that out. And if you love the geeky stuff, go back through the archives. There's a lot of them. Nick Argan and Company. The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky. Check out everything at IABDpresents.com. And while you're at it, go support us at patreon.com/IABD. So we can keep on doing what we've been doing. Right now, we're going to return to tomorrow on It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. Steven's here.
That's correct.
And Jimmy-Jerome. And we're here to talk about the classic episode, Returns Tomorrow.
Classic in quotation marks, I believe, there.
First impressions.
I have a lot of notes. There's a lot to talk about, I guess, to unpack, but not really, maybe. I didn't love it, that's for sure. It seemed like an episode that was working really hard. It introduced concepts and then kind of would find a way to not address them. It would come up with issues and find a way around them. And there was a lot of fantastical elements that came in than science fiction to me. More, and I guess I'm throwing that in with not believable or unbelievable as opposed to not believable. But there's not a lot really happens in this episode really either. I mean, there's not a lot of action, I guess I should say.
Not a lot of action, I would agree with that.
So yeah, going into it, and the name of it being Return to Tomorrow, I feel like that in and of itself is just like, you know what?
Nonsense.
Yeah, we can't even come up with a snazzy title for this. So we're going to come up with a generic Return to Tomorrow title for it. So
it had some good concepts at the center of it.
It did.
But they were trying too hard and it got so convoluted as they built upon itself.
Yeah, and as they established each rule, they established a new exception to it.
Right.
Which seemed to totally contradict and undermine it. And so it was...
It's like whoever had the idea was like, I got this really cool idea. And he pitched it and they're like, yeah, that is a cool idea. Yeah. And then he starts writing it and he's like, oh, but that doesn't make sense. Oh, but that won't work. Oh, but, well, instead of thrusting out the idea, I'm just going to keep bending over backwards to push forward. Which, I mean, I'm not going to say I've never written anything like that, but...
we all have.
I'm not proud of anything I've written like that.
Right. And I know there was a lot of meddling with the script, or at least the ending. I think the name that's used is John Knightsbridge or something, which is a pseudonym for a guy named Dugan. And actually, this got nominated for...
Yeah, John Dugan, credited for John Kingsbridge. It got nominated for what?
Like a best sci-fi drama? Yeah, for that
From
year.
Crappy Sci-Fi of America?
I won't find it, but I know the ending. Roddenberry rewrote the very end where Dugan wanted them to be spirits that were still existing in the universe, and he was coming from a Catholic sensibility or whatever, whereas Roddenberry wanted them just to go into oblivion.
Sure.
It won the Writers Guild of America Award nomination, in the category Best Written Dramatic Episode in 1968.
1968 must have been a slow year. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, TV was truly a vast wasteland then, if that
happened. There were better episodes of Star Trek in 1968. I know there were.
Oh, absolutely. We just watched a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Actually, right after this, the director, I'm on the Star Trek Wikia page. Ralph Sinensky nicknamed this episode The Huge Ping Pong Balls, and he described the episode as about which the less said the better. Of course, we're going to talk about it for another while here, but that's kind of humorous.
Both the writer and the director were very active in television, I'm looking. They have a lot of television credits, although neither one seems to have anything too notable that they were, directly responsible for. I mean, the writer wrote a bunch of Little House on the Prairies, but he wasn't, the producer, or he wasn't the, creator of it or anything. The director, this is one of 6 episodes he did, including, we'll talk about this more in a minute, but including the other episode that Dana Mulder was in, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, So the concept itself of a civilization that was long gone, and they put their consciousness in orbs that some of them survived, some of them did not.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be the main guy and the wife that survived. And then like his best friend that betrays him or
which
something.
sets up the dramatic moment of these two people being able to get back in bodies and see each other again and blah, 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 which carries some weight. But I think all those undermining things that happened earlier kind of, I think you're so distracted by all that and or just completely uninterested after all that you lose all that punch you would have there. And I think Muldar's a good actress. I liked her in this episode. But
she was excellent in this episode, and so was Nimoy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Shatner was terrible in this episode. This was some of the worst acting I've seen from Shatner.
The one of the things I read was like, yeah, he does pretty good here, and I did not feel that way either.
No.
I'm a Shatner guy. We're both Shatner guys.
Yes,
I love Shatner.
Absolutely.
But in this one, especially that very first transformation.
Oh my god, it was awful. It was so bad. Well, so much of this episode was so over the top.
Yes.
I'm looking at his other, the director's other credits. This Side of Paradise is also one of his other credits. All right. And I can see the same melodramatic love, forced crap in this that I see in that.
Yeah, and I think the episode starts with them hundreds of light years past where any ship's gone, which is a weird...
Which makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
No. They clearly could not have gone that far.
Fast. And then...
Take 3 weeks for the message to get back to Earth.
And then I don't understand how... And we talk about this a lot, the sensors, their sensitivity all the time. In this one, Spock's able to... The sensors are able to determine that some kind of cataclysm happened 500,000 years ago.
Yes.
Ripping the atmosphere away. I'm not sure how that works.
I mean, I assume if they analyze enough data, they can figure it out.
I suppose, but he seemed to get that really quick.
Maybe Sora... For anything that somebody knows that we can't explain, let's just assume Sargon put it in their brain.
Well, okay, that's a good...
I'm not trying to take the shortcut here.
No.
But Sargon appeared to have all these powers we didn't realize until the end.
That's right, because he didn't...
So I think it's reasonable to assume that Sargon perfectly...
And that's one of my other overarching issues is, well, we have to... First of all, there was... I guess it's not assumption, but... Those guys, humanoid bodies is what they had before, apparently. And I know they do say it's an implant or whatever, but...
And clearly male, female.
Yes.
Similar to human and Vulcan.
Yes, yeah.
They may have even seeded Vulcan.
Yeah, and it starts with Sargon talking to the Enterprise, but also directly to some people. He's able to turn down the power on the Enterprise.
He talks, and then just one time, he's like, hey... Too complicated to talk. I'm just going to turn off the lights and see if they get my message.
But, so, how close did a ship have to come for them to exercise that kind of power? And why didn't they...
Well, he had to be, right against the orb to transfer his consciousness once.
Right.
And then, after that, he just did whatever he wanted.
Right.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, which we're getting to the issue of the episode.
The problem. Yeah.
So there's that, and so I'm like, why do they have to be in a human body to make these robot bodies to put them in there?
If they can tell people what
if they can power down the Enterprise, they can. I feel like they can do all those. Or have somebody else.
They can tell people. They can move robot arms.
Yeah.
They could just download the plans into somebody's head.
Right.
They could. I mean, there are so many options.
Well, and that's when Kirk does this, and this is another spot where Shatner was being Shatner. He does the impassioned speech about this is why we're here, and think of all the things we can learn. And if we hadn't done this and this and this and this, and it's like, okay, that's great, but these all sound great. That's not the way it's going to go. But why not? It doesn't seem like transferring into your bodies. That does not seem like that's the way it has to go.
Not the most effective. Efficient.
Yeah.
And I mean, the speech I was of two minds about, because on one hand I'm like, yeah, those are the ideals of Star Trek. That is what we want from them. And yet, the way it was delivered and the manner and the whole, it was just so ridiculous, over the top. Beat you over the head with it.
Yeah.
And I know they've done better versions of that same speech.
Yes.
On many episodes.
Well, there's also the convenience that it's the bodies they want are Kirk and Spock.
Sure.
And
the beautiful woman.
A beautiful woman.
Who was handpicked.
Yes.
Because he's probably like, oh, she looks like my wife. I'm going to put her in that.
Yes.
This feels like a third-rate fan of the show decided to try to write an episode.
Yes. That's a good
bad
breakdown.
fan fiction.
Yes.
Feels like bad fan fiction.
Yes.
I just came to that realization.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. It's just just all the, it just feels, and you mentioned it when we were watching it, the third, season 3 is going to be long, and this feels like one that
belongs in season 3.
Wading into that territory, yeah. I think it's interesting enough that I don't feel like it's a bad episode or I hate it, and there's going to be plenty more I'm going to hate later, but...
this is going near the bottom of the list.
It is. Definitely for season 2.
If I never watch this episode again, I'm good.
Yeah, when we talked about it the last episode, when we started talking about it, I was like, yeah, I have very vague memory, other than Diana Muldaur. Is Diana Muldaur?
Yeah, I did not even remember.
I had very vague memories. Yeah,
I don't remember this episode at all, and I'm sure I've seen it, but I do not remember it.
I did vaguely, and especially when I did the research, I'm like, okay, I remembered it kind of, but yeah, there's just so many things like that are just it's just frustrating. It's hard to sink your teeth into it, and like I said, it really undermines any of that drama.
Yeah. So the concept's cool. Old civilization. Let's try to save them. Let's get all that.
Right.
Wonderful. Sargon as a character, very interesting.
Sure.
Like, not overbearing, very compassionate and considerate of those he's working with. Sure, he should explain himself a little more.
Yeah.
But then, like, when one of his people go rogue, he just kind of sits back and lets them, like, waits for his wife to come to her own conclusions, waits for this, but he's also protecting to make sure none of the humans are permanently killed.
Sure.
So I can't fault him for his strategy. I almost felt he embodied the same kind of spirit and personality and temperament that Kirk at his best did. Like, he was the Kirk in this episode, and Kirk was not.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I like I said, I didn't remember the episode that well, but as soon as Enoch was from the other tribe or whatever on the planet.
Yeah.
Because every planet only has 2 tribes.
2 tribes.
That's
Well, he was black on the white half of his face.
That's right.
Well, I'm black on the left half of my face. We'll get to that one.
But I knew, I knew right then. I was like, oh, okay, that's where the conflict comes from. That's where.
I mean, Nimoy I could not say enough. Nimoy really sold that part.
He was fun.
He was really good.
Yeah, and you could tell he enjoyed doing it. He got to be something other than Spock. That was fun. I read it, I listened real close, and I could only tell in one of the very last speeches, but the voice of Sargon is Doohan.
It was,
Yeah.
Except when it was Shatner, but yes.
Right. Well, that's the other thing I wrote is, as we've learned in 3 or 4 episodes now already, if you or I show up somewhere and we have an echoey voice, we'll know the other one's a god.
Sure.
Because that's how you know.
That's how you know
if someone has those kind of powers. Is their voice becomes echoey.
I mean, there's got to be an app we can download on our cell phone to do that now, isn't there?
And again, and I reference that in the sense that this is yet another episode where, and this one's a little different because there's several of them and all that stuff, but another person, people who have godlike powers, how are we going to stop them?
Yep. Well, of course, to get referential, because this episode cannot hit you over the head enough with its illusions, the character that embodied Spock, Hedok, was based on the name Enoch, which is the son of Cain, and the Cain and Abel story. Because you have to have the 2 tribes in the whole...
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I just saw that, and I was like, what? No, of course. McCoy was out of character. Like, he protested, as he should, for a little bit.
Right.
And then when things were going wrong with the body, and they're just like, okay, let us handle this.
Right.
He just stands there. And he silently, and lets them. And again, we could explain that Sargon's whatever, but... McCoy would have been fighting it tooth and nail.
Yeah, yes, I agree. And he was, much like the episode, all over the place. Didn't have a consistent through line to me.
Yeah. Well, Chapel, too.
Yeah.
So, Spock takes Chapel's body.
Right.
So he's walking out the door, and he doesn't stop, and they're like, hey, Chapel, what you going on? And she doesn't stop and say, hey, I'm Spock.
Right.
Like...
Again, that's another one of those, we just want to set up the finale.
But...
There's a little tip off because she's not talking, but
so Enoch's reading McCoy's brain about the poison and everything, but doesn't read the Spock's and Chapel's body.
Well, if there's 2 things in one body, you can't.
It messes with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So he doesn't say, "Hey, there's something weird with that body."
Right, and so how did that work? That worked fine because again, this is another one thing. Yeah. They take over Kirk's body, and the metabolism's up, blah blah blah. Sure. But if you put 2 in one body, works. It seems to work out fine.
Spock, the Vulcan, it was different. I don't know.
I'd also noticed early on when Sargon's in Kirk's body, as soon as they mentioned the metabolism was going up, the next shot of Shatner, he sets his sword off his face.
So sweating.
Just like that. Just immediately.
Yeah, the worst part was the first possession, and then he's like clutching himself, and he's writhing around.
I think he does a better version of that in some a couple later episodes, where yet again, Turnabout Intruders is the one I'm thinking of. I think he does a better job there. Well, I guess we'll see when we get there.
That when the ex-girlfriend takes over his body?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, it was just so... It was everything people that hate Shatner or do the bad impersonations of Shatner. It was all embodied right there.
And the music.
Ah.
The freaking music. As soon as we meet Anne Mulhall,
yeah,
the romantic theme comes in.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Look at the
It's just the captain and his
exobiologist.
His lieutenant commander.
Or astrobiologist, who's wearing red for some inexplicable reason, even though she should be in blue.
She's the lieutenant commander, and I read she's the highest ranking woman in the original series.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, we need the swell of romantic music.
Yeah, Lieutenant Commander, she's on level with like McCoy and Scotty.
Right.
She's a senior officer that we've never heard of.
Yeah, and we'll never see again.
And wears the wrong color uniform.
Yeah. I did read there was a lot of music written specifically for this episode, and then unlike some of the other episodes where there was special music written, a lot of it's never used again. So this is one time only. Some of that music.
They also reused a lot of common themes, though.
Yeah. Those are in there too as well. Yeah. But.
Yeah, this was another example of music being misused to over dramatize.
Oh, it was. And again, talking about beating over the heads. Like, just in case you didn't know something's going to happen here, here's some music for you.
You think Gene just had his hands on this episode too much?
I think so.
Because he's one that overdoes.
I think so. Because I think the fact that the writer was like, I'm changing my name on this. And like I said, they just referenced the ending. But I feel like probably overall maybe there was a lot of monkey wrenches in the works. Yeah, just things. I feel like things we've established as we've gone through got thrown around. Like, Bones, I know we talk about he doesn't like to get in a transporter, transporter a while.
Sure.
So Spock's like, well, there's 103 miles of solid rock, and Bones is freaking out about that. The 200,000 miles of space, not bothering him.
No, just
it's 100 miles of rock.
And Spock's like, hey, it's in a chamber, it's fine. I checked it. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
It matches.
And then the security officers didn't materialize with them, but they didn't make a big deal of it. Like, it wasn't really a thing. And if Sargon's not at all hostile, and I don't believe he was, why did he prevent the security officers
Right, it's never addressed. It's never...
Like, I know they want the 3 bodies, and they would explain it. And I guess it makes sense he'd allow McCoy, because he knows they gotta get the doctor's cooperation.
Right.
But what is he afraid the security officers are gonna do?
And if they started to do something, he would just send them back.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Now, I'll say something else positive, because I gotta keep going back. In the robotics lab where they're building the android.
Yeah.
Where they had it like hanging in the frame and all the pieces.
Yeah.
That was neat.
That was cool. Yeah.
I really wanted to see how else that would develop.
Yeah.
I'm sad they jump immediately to the guy that they make a little waxy.
Right.
Laying on the table.
Yeah.
Because the in-between, that would have been fascinating to see different stages.
Yeah. It seems like, as advanced as they were, they could have made that happen really fast. I mean, they said they could power the ship with something the size of a walnut. Well, all right. Get on it.
Well, it did happen because they already finished the android body.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
We just...
Oh, that's right. But
they just hadn't added female features, which I don't think you make a female by sticking boobs on a man.
Right.
I mean, I think there's a little bit difference in the framework of the body.
And and it was weird that all of a sudden they didn't want to go in a robot body as opposed to being in...
Well, I get that, because she didn't want to lose the sensations, the feeling.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess if that's...
They weren't going to get the nerves. But if they were that advanced, couldn't they do, like, nerves and stuff?
Right, that's what I think.
Data in the next generation eventually gets the human
Well,
feeling.
I think, and it makes me think of... in fact, actually, a later line made me think of Blade Runner. But yeah, I would think it would be more along those lines of, like, an android where it's not a robot necessarily. It's...
They can feel...
They can feel sensations. Yeah, when... I think it's Sargon who says, "Can robot lips do this?" Is that the line when he's?
Oh my god!
I think that was the original title of.
Shatner just wanted more kisses in this episode.
That was the original title of "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" Was "Do robot lips? Can robot lips do this?"
So at the very
as a matter of fact, they can.
They can. The very end where they were getting one last moment together, which I get.
Yes.
I get. You don't think you say, hey, can we have a private room for a minute?
I wrote that down too. 500,000 years of celibacy.
Yeah. They want to have
that immediately should have happened. I mean, that...
But then when you've got that one last chance and you're going to Bolivian, you really got to be like, hey.
Yeah.
He can wear a condom. We don't, we'll be safe about it, but let us have the captain's quarters for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 500,000 years. We're not going to last very long.
No, it's going to go real fast.
Yeah, the whole bridge thing, and then they left the bodies mid-kiss. I wanted to complain about leaving it mid-kiss because it was very awkward between Kirk and Malone.
Right.
But then on the other hand, I'm like, well, if I went off into oblivion, I probably do want to leave mid-kiss.
Oh, I guess you're right.
You leave when you got that. The best feeling you're going to get.
Yeah.
In that
Take
situation.
it with you. Go out on top.
Sure.
Another thing we've seen before in here, and which makes this line even weirder. So they get down there, and it's pure energy. Spock says pure energy again.
Sure.
Kirk says impossible, and I'm like, how's that impossible? You've experienced this kind of thing at least 5 or 6 times already in the series. It's not impossible. It's obvious.
I know.
So just a lot of things like that we've...
Gotta do fashion. So we already talked about Ann Mulhall wearing the wrong color.
Yeah.
What did you think of Sargon and his compatriots' outfits?
They're
very round outfits.
They're the bulbs.
The bulbs. I mean, technically, that's what they're wearing, so...
I feel like, as advanced as they were, they should have had something nicer to be stationed in.
I also want to know how those things work. Because they didn't have any energy source connected to them, apparently. Because they could beam up to the Enterprise, and they're just fine. What? But, like, some of them died out.
Yeah, they didn't work right.
And why'd they have to put a towel down on the table before they set them in sickbay? Is that to cover up the hole they cut in the table so they can stick wires through to make the lights?
And why did they destroy those? The ones
so
on
they
the
couldn't go back into it? But then, isn't he just going to jump into somebody else's body or something?
Right.
But then Sargon prevented him because Sargon could do anything. He just was hiding it.
This episode's getting worse the longer we talk about it.
Yeah, but I feel like we got to give it a fair, full assessment. We don't want to do 5 minutes and stuff.
We do. I agree. Oh, another thing that got changed. I don't know that Roddenberry changed this, but the NBC asked them to change it. So the talk about early on where like he keeps calling them my children or whatever. Like, well, we think we might have been your Adam and Eve. Originally, it was left that was probably the case, but. The network was like, we can't have that. It's sacrilegious.
So that's why they walked out.
So that's why they...
Oh, it was Vulcan.
Yeah.
It was an Earth.
Well, we know that our planet evolved separately. We know you did not visit us. It's like, okay, all right. But again, that's another one of those concepts that was...
The My Children
in the 70s.
made it weird. If he would have stopped saying My Children, it would have been a better story.
Another thing I liked was, and I feel this is a line that Shatner got thrown in. He threw in twice. Sargon keeps talking about, your captain has an excellent body. It's in such great shape.
You preserved it so well. You and the doctor. Yeah, we're going to thank you. I mean, absolutely.
While Shatner's strutting around.
I thought it was weird that Kirk didn't want Spock to go down the landing party when so many times before he's like, it's cool.
We're going.
We can both go. Yeah. It's fine. Like every other episode.
Yeah.
It's like the writer was like, hey, it's weird you let him do this. Let me address it.
Yeah.
But then they've let him do it so many times.
My alternate episode was Kirk's giving the speech and he's talking about, well, your McCoy's great grandfather used catgut and a scalpel or whatever. So my alternate episode is McCoy's great grandfather.
Played by DeForest Kelley.
Exactly, of course.
Flashback cutscene like Family Guy style?
Yeah.
Yes. I like it.
And he's whatever. I don't know if he's in the Old West or he's on the first shuttle to Mars.
Sure.
But yeah.
My alternate episode is Kirk's in the room. He says this has to be unanimous. We all have to agree.
And
McCoy refuses. No. So they go away. And then like for the next 3 weeks, Kirk keeps going, you're letting that civilization die. We should go. And then they turn around and they go back anyway. Because Kirk finally wears him down.
That's, I like that, yeah. I thought you were just going to go roll credits, but yeah.
No. Roll credits too easy.
Yeah,
I wanted to see them wear him down. What did you think about Chapel and Spock having shared the brain and what that meant?
Yeah, I did like that. We'll give some positives there. That was one positive or interesting aspect was, when Enoch wakes up in Spock's body and sees Chapel's like, oh, you're a lovely creature or specimen or whatever that says. Yeah. Chapel's like, oh, somebody's noticing. Finally, this guy's noticing, even though she knows it's not Spock. But still, there's that going on. Yeah, and then what is her line? We shared consciousness? Is that what she said?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And they give each other a very intimate look.
Yeah.
And honestly, my complaint is they don't explore that relationship further.
Nope.
They play in several episodes with the Spock-Chapel thing. I really felt one of the feature films owed it to them to explore that.
Yep.
And honestly, Chapel looks a little bit like Spock's mom, in a way.
Yeah.
The way they have Jane Wyatt portray her.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there could be something there. And I wish it had not been left in the novels. I wish they would have explored it on screen.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say that was a cool part of the episode. But like I said.
Yeah. Especially for those that caught the earlier episodes and were shipping Spock and Chapel.
Yeah.
To get that kind of payoff.
Yes.
Would be cool.
Would be nice. But
except that it never goes anywhere.
No.
They don't even see fit to give Chapel a role in the new feature films other than to mention, oh yeah, she was on the ship and she left.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So dumb.
That's right.
Like Chapel, to me, I mean, they play her up every bit as much. Like in this episode, she's got way more plot than Scotty Uhura.
Yeah.
Or Sulu.
Yeah.
She's one of the leads too.
Yeah.
And she gets minimized in the movies and in the new stuff, she's not even there.
Yeah.
She deserves a little more, in my opinion.
I agree.
I just like Majel Barrett, though.
Yeah. She's great. And it is cool that she kind of gets to be the hero in this one. So.
Yeah.
With Spock in her.
She had a sizable role in this episode.
Yeah.
And I wondered, as soon as we saw her, I was like, oh, are we going to... Yep, okay.
Well, and this is where I bring in the now weekly Star Wars ripping off Star Trek. Henoch's thing where he touches Chapel's forehead and changes her memory. It's essentially, these aren't the droids you're looking for. Yeah, it's essentially, he's using the Force there.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which is where I started, where I said, this episode to me gets into a lot of, and it's not a knock on fantasy. Obviously, I like Star Wars and other fantasy films, but for me, that once you get into that aspect, I start losing the thread. If you establish some rules for me, stay with those rules. Once you start saying, well, there's exception, like you said, essentially, Sargon could do
whatever.
He could do whatever he wanted.
They made him too powerful.
And at that point, it's like, well, who?
There's
the
no
whole
tension.
time. Yeah, there was no. Why were we worried?
Yeah.
He could have made this all better.
There was another nurse in this episode.
Yes.
Played by an actress named Cindy Lou. Who this is her sole credit.
Yeah, I read that too. She had one line and then never heard from again.
It says, if you look on her IMDb page,
Yeah.
it says she acted in the musical Annie Warbucks in New York City with a bunch of other actors.
Huh.
A couple of them I've heard of. So I guess she did some stage work too.
Does it have her full name or is it just Cindy Lou?
It just says Cindy Lou.
Huh.
And this is August 93 to January 94 role, so 30 years later she did a show in New York City.
Okay.
Doesn't say it was on Broadway.
Huh.
Just says it was and it just gives a bunch of information about the show. It doesn't actually talk about her role in it at all.
Huh.
That seems like a strange career trajectory.
It is, yeah.
To do one non-speaking line in Star Trek and then all of a sudden, 30 years later, do a stage production?
Yeah.
And she's just credited as nurse. They didn't give her character
Right,
name.
right.
I saw her and I was like, hey, another African-American working a decent job on the Enterprise.
That's right.
That's good. But I would have liked to have seen more of her.
Yeah, and she's gone. From everything, apparently.
Yeah, I liked her. It was such a brief moment and I was like, I liked the look about her and the way she held herself with McCoy and Chapel, and then when I saw her name was Cindy Lou, I of course thought the Grinch. Cindy Lou Who.
I wrote Cindy Lou Who down.
I mean,
actually.
As we record this, we're in early December,
That's right.
so I mean now you hear it's spring, but it's almost Christmas, so that's the mindset.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a weird episode.
Yeah. We didn't talk about Diana Mulder much.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So she did another episode, which may have been the very first episode of the original series I saw. Is There in Truth No Beauty?
Yeah, and I forgot that she'd done two. I
did too. I just remembered the other one.
Yeah.
I didn't remember this one. And then, of course, she went on to play the Chief Medical Officer of the Enterprise D.
Yes.
In the second season of The Next Generation.
Yes.
For like 20 episodes.
Gates McFadden, and then they decided to bring her...
They switched back.
They switched because somebody on the show was Gates McFadden, and they clashed. So she left.
Gates McFadden wasn't getting along with the production.
Then those people left, so she came back.
But they never... So, that always seemed odd to me because they never put Diana Mulder in the opening credits. It was always like special guest star at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
But she did almost every episode of season 2. And then season 3 starts and they don't even talk about her.
Yeah.
She's just gone. And that always bothered me. Like they mentioned where Gates McFadden went, where Crusher went.
Right.
They didn't mention where Pulaski went.
Huh.
And I liked Pulaski.
Yeah.
I like Crusher better. But I liked Pulaski, and I think it's cool that they got somebody with Star Trek cred.
Yes.
Because she had said she was done acting and moved to the desert, and then they lured her back with the role of Pulaski. Because she's like, I can't pass up the opportunity to do Star Trek.
Oh, wow. And then she came back. She did LA Law after that and some other things
well,
after that. Yeah.
She also mentioned, I'm just talking about the article I was reading before this, but she also mentioned that she hated working on Next Generation.
Yes, I read that.
Was like, okay, I'm done.
It was one of her miserable, she said it was just a miserable experience. Her and somebody else, I can't remember.
So, had Gates McFadden up and lured back, they might have had 3 doctors in 3 years. Which would have been really strange.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if can tell the chronology if her experience was with the same terrible people that Gates McFadden had.
Could have been.
And then they made the switch.
Next Gen, the first 2 seasons
Yeah.
were a lot like the original series. The first 2 or 3 seasons,
Yeah.
they were very they started by bringing back a lot of the original series writers and producer people for the first season, Next Gen. So again, it was the same messy backbiting and infighting, and Gene playing people against one another.
Yeah.
And then they left, and season 2 struggled through, and then season 3 basically Gene kind of stepped back, and they brought in a whole new staff, and it solidified, and the show got really good. I mean, the show was always high rated,
right?
But the first season of Next Gen is kind of rough. We'll get
there, yeah.
But actually, other than the original, because the original first season's not bad. There's some rocky start in the first few episodes, but other than Next Gen, other than the original, I'd say the first season of all of the Star Trek spinoffs are their worst season.
Yeah.
They all start out rough and then find their legs. And I mean, the first Deep Space Nine's my favorite. Yeah. There's like 2 good episodes in the first season of Deep Space Nine. It's really bad. Yeah. Voyager's not great.
I wonder if that's because they're trying to.
Enterprise
like a lot of shows, they're trying to figure out what they're doing. But they also, every Star Trek show, including Discovery, comes in with this weight. Obviously,
now Discovery is the exception because it hit the ground running.
Oh, and I haven't got back to it, but it's first.
I've only watched half of what they've aired this fall, but what I've seen is spectacular. But like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is one of my other favorite shows, had a terrible first season. Yeah. Some shows, it just takes a little time to find their legs. Yeah. Original series, once they found their legs, they never kept them very long. No. But
no, unfortunately.
I mean, it still marvels, especially as we're rewatching now, how this show spawned what it spawned.
Yes.
Because this show, as I'm watching it now, does not deserve what it spawned. It took a lot of people seeing through the crap, and also it's hard now having, like, we're in peak TV. People throw the term around. I believe it. Yeah. I really do buy into that we're making some of the best art, entertainment ever made. And so I forget that back when the original Star Trek was on the air, there just wasn't that much originality.
Well, it was that, and just so much, again, I think part of the reason we have this golden age or whatever, peak TV, is there's so many outlets, there's so much more freedom, I think, than obviously in NBC, where not only do you have the censors, they had limited money, which you talk about all the time. It's the 60s, so you can only go so far with these sci-fi series. Your concepts, or you have to shroud them in sci-fi, like Twilight Zone did so well, like Rod Serling did with all his stuff. But yeah, I think that's
But Star Trek's responsible for so much of what's become good. It's
true.
I mean, Deep Space Nine was one of the first serialized stories to prove you could tell television that way. And again, it succeeded because they took the training wheels off and let them do their thing.
Well, yeah, and I think to double back around to why this show was so important, I mean, I think, one, it was one of the few that had this positive message we talked about.
That is the thing. I think every other sci-fi series I like is dystopian. Yeah. This is the only one that's utopian.
Yeah, and I think that shone through. You had Spock was a fascinating character and connected, obviously. Shatner, Kirk.
I love Shatner.
Everybody wanted, I mean, I still want to be Kirk. I want to be Shatner, Kirk. No offense, Chris Pine. I wouldn't mind spend a couple days.
Chris Pine's great.
I wouldn't mind spending a couple days as Chris Pine Kirk either, but
DeForest Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, DeForest Kelly.
So, and just all these things are iconic. So I think all the good things we've talked about in these first 2 seasons, you can pull in, but then you can see the signs of wear and tear, and whether that's, and again, we talked about how many episodes they did then,
Well, that's what I'm thinking
grind
too,
they
this
were
is
on.
near the end of the season.
Yeah.
We're in that final stretch.
Yes.
They're getting tired out. Yeah. Worn out.
So they're in the grind.
Just like how Kirk's belly starts to come back at this time of year.
So they're in that grind. Whereas again, to compare that with the golden age we're in now, like we just finished Fargo season 2, which was great. But it was only 11 episodes. Yeah. But it's amazing and fantastic. But it was 11 episodes, and they probably had the kind of time you have for.
At the time we're recording this now, the Orville season finale is airing next week. Even on the broadcast networks, they're starting to figure out the 10 or 13 episodes makes for a better show.
It does.
Than 22.
It just really 24. Does. And I was thinking about this, and again, I'm going back to Fargo just because I just finished it. But it's so, and obviously we've been here for a while with, I'm thinking like 6 Feet Under and Sopranos, the kind of runs they would do. But
HBO.
Yeah, HBO. It's not TV, it's HBO. But
well, cable's always done the short run because they don't have the money that broadcast had.
True.
And they're more experimental, and they'll give it the whole first season, whereas broadcast, if 3 or 4 episodes in, it's not playing, they yank it. But yeah, I think broadcasts are learning those lessons from cable. And I think Discovery is showing us what Star Trek can do when they are also not under the same restraint.
Yeah, and I think, and like with Fargo, I went at the conclusion. Sure, it might have even been 10 episodes. It just was so rich, those 10 hours, and I think to your point, I think that's what they're realizing is, what is it, 15 episodes of Orville? Is that how many they did? Or
13, 15,
somewhere in there. And you can still feel like, man, I've got this rich experience.
Yeah.
And without hitting that, oh God, we got to crank out a few duds.
It's a bummer to wait 9 or 10 months for a new season versus 3. Yeah. But with some exceptions, because there have been some great broadcast network shows. Yeah, I think most shows are better served by doing a smaller number of episodes, take the break, take the breath, and then jump back into it.
Yeah, it seems to be that seems to be borne out. And,
Star Trek is the poster child of why that is.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and we're hitting this episode really.
Man, and the thing is, there's still episodes to come in the season that are much better than this.
Yes.
It's not like we're done and we're complete, but as they're rushing through, they're like, okay, I'm more interested in the Nazis next week. Let's get this one
right. Yeah, and
this,
if the source material isn't really good, then, or if Roddenberry's getting his...
I certainly feel sometimes if I get pressure because I'm trying to just get the next script done, I feel sometimes I don't turn in the best work.
Oh, yeah. It just makes sense.
I get it.
And if you don't have the time to... Again, we're talking about our theater world. But if you have a script that needs some TLC or whatever, but... I can only rehearse twice. All right, it's going to be an okay show, as opposed to if you start with a great script and you only need, we don't need 2 rehearsals. Everyone's got the lines. All right, we can do this. So
run into that with Radio Hour.
It makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
So
as I'm sure you've witnessed, some of our shows are better than others, which is true for anything.
Exactly.
But
for anything. Which brings us back to Return to Tomorrow.
Let's rank this episode first. Start at the bottom. It's better than Cat's Paw.
I think
it's
so.
It's better.
Yeah.
Concepts, at least.
Yes.
Immunity syndrome.
Ooh, we just decided that was really boring, right? Is that what we decided?
So, that was only 2 episodes ago. I'm going to go ahead and Google because I don't remember what
it was. The organism that...
Okay, the amoeba. So, I would want to put this above that because I don't even remember what that is.
Fair enough. I can't find it. I just remember...
2 episodes after.
I just remember it was really boring.
2 episodes after, I can't remember anything about it.
I think we may have said that day predicted that we were going to say this 2 weeks later because
that vaguely sounds familiar, but I can't say for sure.
That's how much we did not care for that episode.
Then there's the Gamesters of Triskelion.
Just for iconic kitsch, in my memory makes me like that one better.
Triskelion was better put together.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So we'll put this above Immunity, 3rd from the bottom.
Yeah. If somebody out there loves it and wants to let us know.
If you want to defend it, yeah.
Please.
I mean, we're deep into season 3 at this point, but we'll circle back. We'll release a bonus episode where we address your concerns.
Yeah.
We are not above those types of things.
Let us know if we're way off base.
It's funny because Cat's Paw, did we just release it or we're about to release it?
It's coming up.
We just released it. It was this episode.
Was that okay?
Yeah, we just released Cat's Paw this week as we're recording this, so we're 13 episodes.
Oh yeah, we did. That was this week.
Yeah,
yes.
We're 13 ahead.
Wow,
which is great because that's where we started season 1 of this podcast, and then over time it just got further and further behind. Yep. We took the break, and now we're even with. We have not recorded one in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
To let you in on the behind the magic, we're still 13 ahead. So that's,
all right,
that's pretty good.
All right.
Okay, men, women. You currently have Nona from A Private Little War.
I'm going to go with Lieutenant Mulhall.
Anne Mulhall. I hate that name. I think she's a
It's
terribly named character. I am going to go with Nurse Cindy Lou.
All right.
She made an impression. I liked her.
Did.
I wish there was more of her, unfortunately.
And if anyone knows anything about Cindy Lou.
Yeah.
Or saw her show, let us know.
If Cindy would like to guest star on this podcast, we'd love to have her.
Yes, that would be a great bonus episode.
I mean, you don't even have to defend this episode. You can come talk about whatever you want.
That's right.
So next week, Nazis.
Patterns of Force. All right. I really don't remember this episode at all, other than the Nazis. Yeah, I mean,
I have vague memories, but I feel like it's a fun episode.
Yeah.
Maybe not high quality, but fun.
Might be more like the piece of the action.
Yes. Kind of thing. I think it's going to be along those lines, but I could be wrong.
Outside of the producers, probably as much fun as you can have with Nazis.
Oh, God, the producers. I had no idea Nazis could be so hilarious. Mel Brooks. Okay, so we'll talk to you soon. Next week.
We're going to go back in our are bulbs.
And maybe, unlike Sargon and his compatriots, will live long and prosper.
That's right.